Hello, everyone. Hi, how are you? Thank you for your patience. I'm a little bit off schedule. So, before we begin, let's go ahead and do a simple clearing. I'm going to tap the meditation bell and take three deep cleansing breaths before we get started. So, let's begin. All right. So, welcome, Sunny.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for being here with us today. And so, today we're going to be talking about this full moon in Aries. So, I'm gonna let you go ahead and speak more about what to expect during this time.
Thank you, Scorpio Moon. And I'm really honored to be here and hope that I can impart some helpful information during a time of lots of shifts and changes in the energies going on. Let's talk a little bit about Aries to begin with. This is a 27-degree Aries full moon. Um, Aries is the first sign of the natural zodiac. It rules children. If you know people who are Aries, they age very youthfully. They're always very childlike. These are the pioneers in the zodiac. So it's ruled by Mars, and they tend to be pretty. They ram, the ram is the symbol. So they tend to ram things through, sometimes not well thought. That can work either way. It just depends on the thing, but that's what makes them pioneering, is they're willing to kind of walk off that cliff and try things and be a leader. It's it's a fire sign that's very bossy and gets things done.
Mhm.
So if you have a lot of fire in your chart, this would be a trine to those planets, which is Lady Luck. And I'm a lot of Leo. I've been very energetic and motivated, where we were talking before, you're an earth sign. So this would be squaring your planets, and that might be a little more stressful and
Yeah.
difficult to get going. And the air signs would be in opposition. And oppositions can be they can be life-changing. They can draw the thing that you've been wanting the most into you. Opposites attract. So with the oppositions to this full moon, it just depends on what you're dealing with. It could go either way. Oppositions are connected to karmas and things that are out of our control. Squares are related to the stress we put on ourselves, theoretically meaning that we can control a degree of how stressed out we get. So also going on, this is a what's called a Cardinal T-Square. So we've got the full moon in Aries, which is also, what chart do I want to look at? I did some charts tonight to try
Oh,
to.
you do you have it in a digital format so I could put it up for the collective?
I have it in paper format.
Oh, honey, next time send
Next
me a
time.
digital and I will put it up,
I,
and
I've
also
thought
post
about
it.
that, and we kind of pull these things together right when they're done. But I'll try to be better organized next time.
Okay, next time.
But this is an opposition to the Sun and Mars. So again, that can bring in, and I know in the twin flame community, when I say third party, there, it's like the specter clenches. Nobody wants to hear about third parties, but I can't stress enough about how third parties can be work, family, home, money. It doesn't have to be a lover or someone impeding on your relationship. So
Right.
that's the first thing. So in Sun and Mars together, being that Mars rules Aries, this could manifest in feeling very energetic, but also a compulsive kind of energy, like acting before you think.
Mhm.
It can also bring in an aggressive kind of element with Mars, the warrior. He likes to fight. And in my blog on my website for this full moon, I kind of put it like, just leave people alone. People's nerves are on edge for a lot of different reasons. If you look globally on the world news, you'll see people in the streets, and that's a very Mars kind of energy. People are angry, expressive, and another thing that I think is important to keep in concept is anger can be very healing. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I wish
Oh,
I could show you. Oh
what
my
happened?
goodness.
What is it?
A deer in my front yard, and
Oh,
pretty big. And deers represent in Indian folklore gentleness. So maybe that's a sign for all of us that we
we
need
need
to
to be
be more
gentle.
gentle on ourselves, gentle on people that pluck our nerves, gentle on. Yeah. That is wonderful. I have never seen one at this time of day. It's still daylight here. I've seen them
Oh,
early in the morning at night, but oh my goodness, we're like right at my front door.
oh,
So there
I
you go.
like that.
That's a great sign for the collective that these energies can be very aggressive. They can be very upsetting and argumentative. So dial it back, take a breath,
Mm.
take a chill pill, whatever it takes to just try to be cognizant of the vibrations around that tend to work people up, and take a deep breath. What comes to mind is something as simple as dealing with someone ordering a meal. You might feel really impatient, like they're not attending to you quick enough, or uh, they're distracted and you're annoyed and you're in a hurry. And this is that kind of aggravated energy that yeah.
Wow, can I interject? Remember on Monday we had a discussion and I was cooking those beef back ribs for
Oh,
my son, right? So get this, so I pull it out the oven. I'm vegan, by the way. So I obviously I'm
good
not gonna
ribs for your son.
yeah, I'm not gonna taste the meat, but I cooked it for 4.5 hours
Wow.
and it came out raw. And then he had addressed it, I can't believe you fed me raw meat.
Oh.
This is disgusting. You're a crap cook. You
You're
don't know how to cook.
a
Oh, okay. Well, don't eat my food. How about you cook your own meat next time, mister?
think of the Neanderthals and in the caves, they probably ate a lot of raw meat and they survived.
Well, that's what I said. I mean, shoot, like a little red meat ain't gonna kill you, okay? But
Well, this
he
is
likes he's the type of person who likes to overcook his
every,
food because of he's very conscientious about gut health
yeah.
and having everything cooked all the way. But anyways, it already happened to me this week.
Well, and Mars is also the surgeon, so we're back to beware of sharp edges.
So if you guys are going to see the doctor, maybe you want to postpone it a little bit, right?
At least if there's
Until
surgery
when?
involved.
Like a couple weeks or something? What do you think?
Well, as I was looking at all the changes in signs and energies with this full moon, something stood out to me. Over the summer, early fall, all of these aspects and shifts have dealt with the outer planets like Pluto, Neptune, Uranus. They move very, very, very slow. But when they do make sign changes or go from retrograde to direct, we do feel shifts. So now, this fall and going into winter, a lot of this energy is the personal planets, the closer to us planets, closer to the Earth, Venus, Mars, Mercury. That that affects us individually more than outer planets are more collective society.
Mhm.
So when the personal planets are rocking and rolling, which they are, um, that's when we're getting things done. We're in movement. We're taking a stand. We're trying something new. It's interesting that I think this month and next, and actually through the end of the year, we're probably going to feel a little more emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on what's going on, more motivated. Like for this
Mm-hmm.
full moon for earth signs, not so much, but for fire and air signs, we're probably getting things done.
Mm-hmm.
One of the interesting things, I'm kind of skipping ahead a little bit, but I don't want to forget, it's we're coming into two eclipses in November and December. So
Oh yeah, I saw that.
you
So
might say that's eclipse season. I don't know. It's just a couple of eclipses, but the one in December is at 27 degrees. This full moon's at 27 degrees. And let me, before I misspeak, just mention what Gemini, so an air sign. Oh, I should have looked at the date, shouldn't have I? It's, I think, around December 5th. So December, I'm sorry, 4th and 5th. It's a solar eclipse. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, sweetie. I'm confused too.
go ahead, take your
I
time, honey.
should have had it written down. But there's a lunar eclipse coming up here in November. My pages want to stick together. And what that means when it's at the same degree, that in your chart, if you have planets at 27 degrees, it's going to trigger some kind of release of energy. That's what eclipses do. So on Saturday, December 18th, we have a 27-degree full moon in Gemini. So you see what I'm saying about 27 degrees today's full moon in Aries, and the mid-December, we're going to have a 27-degree full moon in Gemini. So that's an air sign. And for it to readdress that point, that degree again, what is going on for Geminis right now or Aries will be readdressed around mid-December. December 18th is the exact date, but we know these are very fluid energies. They overlap. There's nothing specific and there's nothing absolute. So I don't see that a whole lot. 2 + 7 is 9. That is a number of completion. So that could mean tying up some things when it comes to an argument or
I would hope so because I've been doing Gemini and Aries, and for Gemini, they're dealing with some crazy person. Okay, that means well, but they need their stuff put together. I'm not saying Gemini personally. I'm talking about the person that they're dealing with. Okay,
it's a very fickle energy. So
it really is. So is Aries. Aries, the person that they're connected with, they want to check in and then check out, and you're like, what the heck? You know, like you're stringing me
Motel
along.
6.
Like, no, it doesn't happen like that, you know, and you want to know like what the heck is going on because Aries, you know, I mean, they want to like
What was
get
that?
right to it.
What was that? You're in marketing and media. What was that promotion about? Something. Oh, roaches check in, but they don't check out. Remember that advertising? The advertising campaign for something about,
Combat
yeah, the little hotel that traps
Roach
roaches.
Motel.
Yes, roaches
I
check in.
call it Hotel California. Once you check in, you can never leave.
Well, let's see if we're here in the middle of December saying that this group of people with anything at 27 degrees air or fire in their chart would have someone checking in and not checking out this time. How about that?
I
So,
hope so. I really do. I see that Aries. It's been a long time coming for Gemini. I don't know. I just keep I pick up on a specific group of Geminis where they're dealing with somebody and they just have mental issues. That
well, Gemini is the twin always searching for the lost twin. So it's
mhm.
it's that constant need for intellectual stimulation, and that's
Mhm.
where they come off not able to commit or short attention spans. They're highly intellectual and they're ruled
Mhm.
by Mercury. So they're the people in our society who network and get the communication out.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that is something we can readdress here at the end of the year to see, reflect back on remembering this October 20th Aries full moon with the 27-degree Gemini full moon December 18th. To me, that's an interesting dynamic there to watch. And what I was on, though, were the eclipses. And how I've been trained to look at eclipses is this. And every astrologer is probably going to have a different opinion about this. But my primary teacher back in the day always said, unless that degree of the eclipse is right on a degree in your chart, you're probably not going to feel it a whole lot. But then again, it's kind of like a cat in a room full of rocking chairs. There is a presence of that eclipse wherever it falls in your chart, whatever house it falls in. It would correlate with what part of your life you would be feeling a trigger. That's what it does. It releases energy. For me personally, as a practicing astrologer, looking at my own chart or other people's chart, I give eclipses a 4 to 5 degree orb. So if it's at 18 degrees, anything right there around 13 to 22, you're going to feel that. So there's a couple of different opinions about that, but definitely eclipses trigger energy. So we've been going through somewhat of stagnant period for a while, and I kind of wanted to give a synopsis of what all is happening here in October, because there's a lot. We have had Mercury go direct on the 18th. Venus changed sign in the Sagittarius on the 7th. Mars enters Scorpio on the 30th. Jupiter goes direct on the 17th. Saturn turns direct on the 10th. Uranus, Neptune, Pluto turns direct on the 6th. That's a lot of change. That's a lot. So if you're feeling exasperated, exhausted, what's it all about, Alfie? Feeling, that's completely normal. That's a lot of stirring up. So you ever feel like if you hear something more than a couple of times out as you're doing your thing, it's usually, to me, feels like it's something to pay attention to. And the one thing that I have heard a lot for weeks around me, and I don't know why, is the movie The Hunt for Red October. And we're in October, and Red October, Aries full moon, that's fired up. That's a lot of energy, and everybody's going to respond to it differently. So I don't know if anyone would be interested in watching that movie again to see the underlying energies that are being. There's a lot of depth to that movie, just sort of human interaction and the concepts of understanding, compassion. In our current day, the actor Sean Connery, he would be Chinese, not Russian, if you wanted to apply it to current day. So that's the first thing. To lighten up, we just had a deer present itself to us in our chat. So it's about being gentle. And if you don't think you can be, then just stay at home.
Don't talk to nobody.
Try to play nice in the sandbox. That's one of my favorite things.
Take a salt bath, guys.
There you go. Right. Your
Oh yeah, the bitch be gone spray.
Yes.
I actually have that here. Right
Yes. So that's the big thing about the full moon. It's not just your typical full moon. It's a T-square opposite the sun and Mars, and then making a square to Pluto. What do we know about Pluto? In ancient times, he's the god of destruction. And the promise to Pluto is that which he tears down, he rebuilds better. So that is the ruling sign of Scorpio. And as we get later into the month, we're moving more into Scorpio energy. So that's all about the life, death, life cycle in everything, whether it's a routine you do, or a diet thing, or an exercise thing, or a process you work with, or a person you're dealing with. That's about a regeneration of people, places, and things. Scorpio energy is fascinated with death and what happens when our soul leaves our body. In the twin flame community, the concept of the same soul split in half between two bodies is very much that regeneration or reflection of the other. I think I shared this to you when we first met, but you know, and I think the name of the movie was The Butcher's Wife. Don't hold me to that. But when I was about 13 or 14 years old, I was watching a movie, and it started out with a 13 or 14-year-old girl on the beach looking out of the ocean, talking about a narrative that her grandmother taught her, a Native American grandmother, and that it was about the flames split apart. And that when someone dies and goes to Father Heaven, their soul splits apart, and they spend the rest of their life always searching for that missing part. So whether you want to, whatever terms you want to use it, whatever brought you to this concept of soulmate, same soul, that's very Scorpion. So as we move into Scorpio season, it's going to be under focus. And that can mean value systems. Specifically is Pluto's house, because what tears down usually has something to do with a conflict in people's values, whether you don't agree, or maybe just something comes up and you're forced to reflect on how do you feel about certain value systems. You can hear any good qualified relationship counselor will always say that your value systems have to match with your partner. You have to have the same values. That is what.
I think, as long as I've been doing twin flame channelings and things like that, the thing that I've come to realize is that if you're not in alignment with your person, then it's actually a good thing.
Yes.
Especially if you've really worked on yourself. You don't want someone who is not vibrating on your same
Or
frequency and you're
funny,
still
who wants to
operating.
spend time just like, like
Yeah.
always trying to, you
Let
know,
go.
or,
Just let
or,
go, guys.
or, I don't know. It's something about just not allowing people to be themselves, like everyone thinking they have to control or have the checklist of well, if they have this and this, I've heard women say that a lot about dating, that they go out with somebody and well, he checks off the list. Okay, so it really is about yourself and what you need as a human being to feel content and peaceful and at ease. So if you're in a situation and feeling angry or hurt or upset all the time, you're not at ease. And of course, with Louise Hay's work, and we mentioned Edgar Cayce last time, dis-ease in the body is connected to your emotions not being at peace.
Fulfilled.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so and then there's a whole lot of the population that could give a rat's butt about any soulful kind of connection, and they're vibrating on a very generic level. I mean, and it's okay. I mean, everybody's in a different place. So for me, at a very young age, the concept of a flame split apart, I found fascinating. And I've always looked at anyone that I've been interested in, is that my flame split apart? And so everybody's different where they come at it from. So I mentioned Edgar Cayce. I did a little research because I know one of your viewers specifically was excited about Edgar Cayce, and I think another one mentioned it. And he was somebody that I grew up on, and sometimes when things are really close and nearby to you, you just take them for granted, and you fail to see how wonderful of a resource or thing that you have had access to. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Edgar Cayce and what he talked about with dis-ease in the body and how your emotions can make you feel better in some of these concepts.
Okay.
But just to look at his chart, he was born in 1877 on March 18th. It makes him a Pisces sun with a Taurus moon and a Leo ascendant. He was known as the sleeping prophet or the father of holistic medicine. He was very poor. He never had money. He was from Kentucky in the United States. And it wasn't until he died and his work was appreciated that the family had some money. There's a place in Virginia Beach, Virginia called the ARE Center, the Association for Enlightenment and Research.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, he has some concepts for all of us and how we should integrate good health in our lives. So just to name a couple of them, I think some of them are very interesting. Eat lettuce. One of the most recommended vegetables in the health readings is lettuce supplies us with vitamins A, C, and folic acid, plus potassium and iron. We were just talking about
Yeah. So, guys, before we got on, I was telling Sunny about how to eliminate cellulite. And basically, we just need an exuberant amount of potassium in our bodies to make them things go away. And so it's kind of ironic that you actually have a list of vegetables for the collective. So that's
well,
good.
what's this really weird is, I mean, around my little reality, I've always been told iceberg lettuce has less nutrition and to try to go for the romaine lettuce.
Mm-hmm.
But with him, he's like the deep green variety, romaine, escuro, curly endive, or leaf lettuce is preferable to, preferable to iceberg, which
Okay.
contains fewer vitamins and minerals. Okay, I didn't finish reading the sentence. And I apologize if reading annoys anybody, but I really want to get it right. So,
No, go ahead. We like information.
okay, so plenty of lettuce should always be eaten by most everybody. For this supplies effluvium, EFFLUVIUM in the bloodstream itself. That is a destructive force to most of those influences that attack the bloodstream. It's a purifier. So lettuce is a purifier of the blood and contains important vitamins and minerals. Next would be spend time outside. And this is a quote from Edgar Cayce. When it is practical, outside activities are advisable, of course, for everyone. And what I'm looking at gives you the number of the reading that this information came out of. He would go into a trance, and he had a wife that would take notes and a friend, and then eventually a secretary who wrote everything that he talked about in this sleeping trance. Those are
Oh.
what are archived at the ARE, and you can be a member there and you can check out his readings like a
Hmm.
library. Okay, so
Hmm.
that's, after this will say reading 3497-1 given in 1944. So whenever
Interesting.
the body may be more in the open is better. Everyone should stay close to the earth. That was given in 1923. So this is really old information that still applies right today, which I find very comforting. We're
The
not
other
missing
thing that
anything.
I wanted to mention was about the doctor. He also recommended for cellulite, make sure you get proper sleep and make sure you
That's
go
all
out
good.
and get the sunshine. So
Yeah.
he is actually saying the same things that Edgar is saying.
Who
So
is
it's
the father
interesting.
of holistic medicine. So Edgar Cayce,
Yeah, and this was an actual medical doctor, but he's based on more
holistic.
holistics. Yeah, he is. So that's really interesting. Wow. Okay, go ahead.
You're going to love this one. Take
Okay.
time to chew your food. The better we chew our food, the less work for our digestive system to break it down into smaller particles. We also become more aware of our food, so enhancing our enjoyment of the meal and increasing its capacity to nourish our bodies. For each and every body, there should be a thorough mastication. For if this is done, the activity of the glands in the mouth and the salivary glands in such as to keep the throat and the bronchi in much healthier condition.
You know what? It's so funny. If you guys see me eat, I always smells like, mm, it's so good. And my son is like, what? Why is it so good? It's so basic. It's a freaking salad. I said, I don't care. It tastes good.
It says bolting food or swallowing it by the use of liquids produces more colds than any one activity of a diet. And that was from a reading in 1935. Drink plenty of water to flush and cleanse the kidneys, and readings frequently suggested drinking 6 to 8 glasses of water daily, at least 2 quarts or 8 cups. And at a period, one drink a glass to 3/4 of a glass or a tumbler of water. That was from 1931. Relax. In a reading for an osteopath who was trying to conserve his energy, Cayce said, quote, there should not be an overtaxing of the body, and there should be periods of relaxation, as there must be in everyone's experience. That was from 1937. Exercise. Those readings that specifically advised exercise often describe the type to be carried out by that individual. So it could be very individual to you what kind of exercise you need. The advice mirrors the last phrase of the familiar adage, after breakfast, work a while, after lunch, rest a while, after dinner, walk a mile.
After dinner?
And kind of what goes on with that is the idea of eat like a king for breakfast, a queen at lunch, and a pauper at dinner. So you're not going
I'm so backwards.
to sleep on, your body trying to digest a lot of food. It's well that everybody takes exercise to counteract the daily routine activity so as to produce rest. Walking is the best exercise for the body, preferably in the evening. That's from 1934. I really like this one. Use olive oil. In countries where olive oil is consumed extensively, a low incidence of cardiovascular disease is reported. It has.
Well, hold on. Before you move on,
Yes.
when COVID happened and all the Italians were dying left and right, don't they eat olive oil?
They make it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what's up with that?
Well, I think that was false reporting on the numbers who were dying from COVID.
Okay. Just saying. Okay. Let's move on.
Yeah, that was a fantasy. Okay. So in countries where olive oil is consumed extensively, a low incidence of cardiovascular disease is reported. It has a beneficial effect on blood, cholesterol levels. It is easily digested, stimulates metabolism, and promotes digestion. He said, olive oil is good for anybody. Just take what the body will assimilate. A few drops 4 or 5 times a day is excellent, for it is an intestinal food not excelled in scarcely anything else. That was from 1933. So it's not like you have to, so when I first hear about, get olive oil in your system, my head goes to, damn, I've got to cook and use olive oil. And you know what I mean? Let me put the olive oil next to the oven, whatever, And this is saying you could take 3 to 4 drops a day and you're good. I like that.
Well, see, yeah, because oil does make you fat also, but it's good oil. It's the good oil.
And, there's some holistic doctors out there that talk about cholesterol is not the villain. Our body makes cholesterol.
It's what we eat.
It's the inflammation primarily from sugar. But cholesterol medicine makes a lot of money. All right. So then we have care for your digestive system. The importance of preventing constipation is reflected in this excerpts. Colonics and enemas were the internal baths most frequently recommended by Cayce. Keep the eliminations in the system, that is, through the intestinal tract, acting normally and properly, even though enemas and cleansing of the colon are resorted to, which is well for anyone to do, for through so many reinfections take place by overtaxing the system from fermentation. Oof, that just sounds horrible.
Wait a minute. How are we going to self? Do you go with the what?
There's a way. Back in the day, that was from 1926. So my parents were born in 1924 and 25, and they
Mm-hmm.
grew up very poor in a very poor area of the country. And they, I mean, all my growing up, they talked about how their moms made them take castor oil. Then,
I actually have some, but I think I took it. I don't know. I don't know what I use it for. I
you can
think it's
make
for hair.
poultices for them. Castor oil
Uh,
poultices are very good to put like on a pain or
oh
you
yeah,
can.
like stretch marks or something. I don't know. I can't
It's
remember.
more, it goes through the skin to help with digestion and what he's talking about for cleansing
Uh,
intestines. Yeah. It's supposed to keep you good and healthy, a healthy tonic. So then we have get a good night's sleep. In general, people who sleep well are happier and healthier. When sleep is poor or inadequate, people feel tired and fatigued, which negatively affects work productivity and relationships. A
mm,
proper amount of sleep improves one's quality of life. One woman in her reading was told 6 to 7 hours is good enough for anyone, and yet under the stress and strain, some may require 10 to 12 hours.
yeah, I need that. But see, the reason is because I keep dreaming. Like I had a bunch of dreams,
Yeah.
and I don't think I actually slept. I was like kind of like my mind was still going.
Yes.
So yeah, I think I fall into the 8. I would say 8 hours is possibly sufficient for me.
Well, and it's different, I think, in different times of the year, like wherever you live in different regions. If it's
Mhm.
darker more times of the year, then I also let me get my little notes in the right order. Um, so there you go. Those are some pretty simple things to do,
Mhm.
eat salad, get some olive oil, rest. Um,
Have Italian every day.
well,
Italian Greek
yes,
from Cos.
while I was on Edgar Cayce, I,
Uh-huh.
I don't think a conversation about him would be complete without his 10 most familiar predictions.
Okay. Yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah. So now he died let's see, when did he die again? He went from 1877 to 1945.
Oh, I thought it was 44.
1945, he died. Okay.
Okay.
And he's buried in Kentucky, if anybody wanted to know.
Okay.
So these were all done prior to 1945.
Okay, got it.
So the first one is the greater portion of Europe will be changed in the twinkling of an eye. Japan will eventually go into the sea. Land will appear off the east coast of America. He did a lot of work with the Akashic records in the lost city of Atlantis and believed it was off the east coast. That was my hook,
Hmm.
Edgar Cayce. I've had dream work and stuff that I just really resonate to Atlantis. And so
Where do you think whereabouts on the East Coast you think Atlantis is? Is it more in
out
the
in the
Florida
Atlantic
region?
Ocean, it's off the East Coast, out in the Atlantic Ocean. And there
Uh-huh.
have been like that Jacques Cousteau, the underwater explorer, and then his son carried his work on. But there have been ancient walls and unusual um, construction on the ocean floor of the Atlantic Ocean. So there's a lot of speculation about that.
Mhm.
Um, so that's a subject for another time, I guess, the lost city of Atlantis. So
Okay, yeah, I'm down for that.
right now is, I don't know if anybody's been keeping up, but they're like flooded. So it's just really weird how someone so long ago could foresee something so far ahead.
Mhm.
Nostradamus was another one, even further back than that. So then this is something that we touched on a couple of times ago. when we were talking about the shifting of the poles from a masculine
Yes.
polarity to a feminine polarity.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
there will be a shifting of the poles so that where there was once a cold climate will become warmer and the semi-tropical will become the more tropical. Moss and ferns and new foliage will grow in places that seem strange to us now. Cayce said, quote, "The earth is catching up with time." So that's a good thought to meditate on. The earth is catching up with time. I don't know what that means, but I
Yeah,
really
it
think
makes
he
me.
was a very interesting person, and he did use astrology. So of course that was another reason I was introduced to him, really early on, because he did some astrology work as well. Then we have there will be a time when the sun will be darkened. This will signify a spiritually awakening event. And we've heard a little bit of talk about that in the last few months, so that's kind of weird. The
Mm.
city of Atlantis will be found near Bimini, Bimini. It will be discovered that there are healing powers in the waters off of Bimini, and quartz crystals will be recognized for their healing properties to uplift, empower, and synchronize many types of energy, such as light and electricity. So this is interesting in modern day times. Tesla did a lot of work on electricity. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
there's scandal associated to that, no surprise, but that eventually we have plenty of electricity, and there it can be manifest somewhat, is magically the right word, or metaphysically. I think
Mm-hmm.
we're definitely moving more into more metaphysical times for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So then we have the records of Atlantis will be open to those who are spiritual initiates in the knowledge of the one God. A secret chamber will be found, and the rising of the temple will make the records accessible. When asked, "Can you give in detail what the sealed rooms contains?" referring to the Atlantean library, Cayce responded that it has a record of Atlantis from the beginning of those periods when the spirit took form. The records describe the first destruction and the changes that took place in the land. It is a journal of sorts, a record of the sojourns of the peoples and their varied activities in other lands, and a record of the meetings of all the nations and lands. It explains the building of the pyramid of initiation, together with whom, what, and where the opening of the records would come, that are as copies from the sunken Atlantis. And Cayce predicted Atlantis must rise again. So do you remember a couple of shows ago? And really, I didn't know we were going to stumble onto this months later and talk about Cayce, but we talked about that we are moving into times of more telepathic communication, as was in Atlantis, so
Mm-hmm.
that we can move our bodies through the thought of our mind. The Energizer on Star Trek comes to mind, that it's shape shifting, it's quantum physics, it's time travel, it's something that blows our mind, that we've thought is science fiction and fantasy, maybe not so much.
You're
Just
right.
a thought. Just a thought. Just
No, I
if
believe
we
it
thought that
because,
life
like,
was boring and mundane, we're gonna, like, Atlantis will rise and we'll beam us up over
what are
there.
you talking about? I was there last night, honey. What are
There you
you?
go. There you go. I'll meet you there tonight.
I know,
There
right?
was a movie. It was one of the Star Trek movies, I think, one of the long motion pictures, and they were in a bar, and they had all of these like different alien people, and
Mm-hmm.
it looked like a lot of costumes and stuff, but it was
Yeah,
kind of,
and they're out there mingling and
yeah,
stuff, and they have like these exotic drinks.
and we all get along just fine.
Yeah.
Kindness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then we have okay, the records of Atlantis will be open. Oh, this is cool. A new field of science will be developed based on a psychic spiritual phenomenon. A shift in focus and study will occur. The world will give more weight to spiritual phenomena and less weight to materialized or material phenomena. This new field of spiritual science will become just as practical and measurable as any other phase of human experience. That's exciting.
That is exciting, but will the government allow for something like that?
I know. I saw a meme earlier, a guy going, people saying, why the hell are they treating us this way? And then he's writing, why the hell are we letting them treat us this way?
You
So
know what? I saw that too.
yeah,
I did.
I like
Mhm.
that. Good
I like it
thinking.
too. It is. It's because, we've been corralled into a way of thinking, but who's to say, what is right and what is wrong? Like, why are we allowing, what mainstream society is, spoon feeding us when we need to use our own, intellect to make our own decisions on, on
Well,
these
here's a
things.
thought for you on that.
Okay.
So fluoride, right?
Oh
Fluoride
gosh.
is
Uh-huh.
put in everything, right? It's put in our
Hmm.
water systems, toothpaste. Try to get away from fluoride because it's been shown to calcify your third eye.
Yeah, the pineal gland.
So when you ask why, I ask what in society, specifically over 40 to 70 years in there, what's happened to our food chain and our water supply? What are we taking in that's man-made or diverts from, say, when Cayce was alive, right?
Hmm. Right.
Between 1870s and, you know, what, the end, the end of
Early
the
1900s.
1940s. So,
Hmm.
just you can really, it's really easy to research some of the science and things that have been integrated in society, all the jabs. When I was a
Hmm.
kid, you got one, and I think as each decade progresses, there's more and more required. So you just have to ask yourself, what has been injected in our food chain and our water that could be making us like sleepwalking?
Sick.
Yeah, sick
Hmm.
and
Like
asleep,
more susceptible to like diseases.
passive, right?
Mhm, mhm.
The current one that everybody's fighting over is said to make women infertile. So, it's diabolical in some of these rabbit holes we can go down and we won't. But my
So
point,
in other words, why don't you get you a plot of land, guys, and grow your own vegetables and get your own cattle or whatever you got, animals.
milk those goats.
Rise and shine. It's time to milk the cow. Get those eggs.
Oh gosh, I was hearing somebody talk about gathering their eggs
Putting it on the
and they let their chickens, like, I guess, free range.
mhm.
What's that? Oh no, I'm sorry. That
All I
was,
know is that chickens, they eat a whole freaking load of grass. I
yeah,
used to have a chicken coop at my house.
you did?
And yeah, because my mom, she's a farm girl. She was raised on the farm and she was very poor. And even at her house, she had fenced in a little place under the play. It's like the playground, right? But like the fence and the stuff that kids they swing on. Well, anyways, under the playhouse there is an empty space, so she kind of sectioned it off, and we had a couple cocks in there with a bunch of hens. And I kid you not, guys, the cock doesn't know the damn difference between 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning to 4 or 5 o'clock at night. Cockle doodle doo. It's like, damn,
It's
shut
different.
the.
Yeah, they do things different.
They do. It's like but it's always at 5 o'clock at night, in the morning. I don't know. And
I
and I
have
was
an
like,
affinity for roosters because they call in the light each day. So for me, when I see a rooster,
uh
it,
huh.
it takes me to a more spiritual meaning of remember the light, and they call in the light every day. So,
I don't know about that. Like I had
oh,
to
well,
chase
right.
after
You're
these
the
little
really
chickens
confused ones
and
that just
they just feel nasty, guys. I don't know. Have you ever grabbed a chicken before, a live one?
I once saw my grandmother grab one and wring its neck and then throw it in a pot and cook it, and it's
Yeah, they
like,
go like, they're
I've
like,
never
oh.
been right since. You know what I mean? It's like, it's amazing that I eat chicken, really, when you think about it.
I've seen that done, on the mountain in Korea
Oh,
because I'm half Korean. So I go to like it's called Soraksan, and yeah, they were preparing the chicken, and there were free roaming chickens out on this farm,
right.
and the guy was like, oh okay, acting like, oh okay, and the chicken was there, and he shucked it down this hot barrel of water,
Oof.
and then I don't know
Mm,
what he did. I don't know if he wrung the neck and then
yeah.
ugh,
Ugh,
guys. Have
yeah.
you ever been on a farm like that? Jeez. Y'all don't know what happens before
From
you get it
the
prepackaged
country.
and all nicely clean, in the grocery store. Like it's
It was a
gross.
great uncle. It was my dad's uncle, but he had a huge farm in West Virginia, and we would go there and, you know, milking the cows and fishing in
Mhm.
the pond. And, I'm grateful for having those down home kind of country memories because life's
Oh, I
gotten way,
love it. I'm from the South too, honey.
yeah. I'm trying now to get it simple again because it's just too busy out there. It's too people-y out there for me.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
I just got a couple more.
Okay, go ahead.
So it says, quote, "City of gold," unquote, will be discovered in the Gobi Desert. It will have a temple with elevators, electric cars, and magical elements.
Is that Dubai? Like,
I, you'd have to go back to where he was saying this and what the countries were because
mhm.
they've shifted.
Well, he hasn't seen what the new like Dubai looks like.
It's gold.
Mhm,
I
and
mean,
the
it's
skyscrapers are up in the clouds, it's, like, amazing.
it made me think of that cave in Patmos, that there was a magical vibration there that really can't be seen, or you just have to feel it. And so
Mhm.
when he says magical elements, um, I really like that. Now, this next one
Mhm.
kind of is going to make the hair stand up on the back of your neck.
Okay.
New York State's East Coast and New York City itself will disappear.
Oh my god. Do I have any people who are in New York? I think Veracana, I mean, like, who else is over there? Oh.
I mean, I've just heard reports it's like a ghost town. They, shut down Broadway and all that. So I don't know. It's just eerie how this was like, how many decades ago was this man talking about this? And
Mhm.
here we are living. Okay, so here we go. America's West Coast will be destroyed, and there will be widespread destruction in Los Angeles and San Francisco, as
That's
well as
going on right now.
in many portions of the West Coast. Land will appear off of the coast of America. The great this one is really so weird how it's connecting to times we're in. The Great Lakes will drain into the Gulf of Mexico through the Mississippi River. Earth changes will occur in the central portion of the United States as well. There will be some safe places in the U.S. They are Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, the central, and some eastern states, to name a few. So, this brought back to me research that a group of us did probably back in the early 90s. It was a map that circulated called I Am America, and it showed how America would be in two halves split at Mississippi River, that the East Coast would be further in towards the east, and the West Coast it would be an island of Los Angeles and a lot more water. So there are different versions of maps out there online that you can go and look at. They're
What
all
is it called again?
um, well, the one that I was referring to was called I Am America. and I guess you would look up maps. But Cayce had another one that was a little different. The thing here about the Great Lakes drain into the Gulf of Mexico through the Mississippi River. So please forgive me if I say this wrong. I think the area around the Great Lakes is called Five Finger Lakes or Finger Lakes. This is a tattoo on the back of Hunter Biden, and is one of the largest hubs of corruption like we've never seen, and hopefully will all be shown in short order. So isn't it weird how this man, Cayce, was 70 years ago, is talking about the Great Lakes will drain, because there's been a lot of explosions and things going on up there now. There you go. Gosh, I haven't seen that in a long time.
Oh my God, look at where I'm living. It's like barely there. I better move.
Come east.
I better move back home to the East Coast.
Wow, I haven't seen that in a really long time. Now, when I say we, is basically a group of astrologers or metaphysical people at a New Age bookstore and talk about this. As far as the East Coast was concerned, what it talked about was I'm in Virginia, so it talked about the East Coast being closer to Virginia, and all of the people from that East Coast, would move this way, and that that would bring an influx of people east. So I guess in the West, it might be the same. He also said here earlier, Japan would be gone. So up there so that's pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Wow.
Now, there are other maps that aren't exactly like that one that
Mm-hmm.
will show a little different configuration, like actually two halves separated by Mississippi River. So this is the last of the 10 most common predictions that he put out there.
Wow, that's interesting.
This is the last one. So Cayce envisioned that a time would come when all individuals would realize their responsibility toward one another. This will be a realization that will change the mass thought of humanity. Cayce predicted there will be 3 profound archaeological discoveries of a very ancient and important nature that will revolutionize the way we understand human origins. Cayce stated that this will occur when humanity reaches a higher level of spirituality. He predicted a new era of peace and enlightenment will follow the tremendous earth changes. Cayce foresaw a new era of enlightenment and peace for humanity in the future, and unified field of energy that would someday shift the consciousness field of humanity. I think that's profound comparing to what we're going through now.
Right. And I think that we are all in preparation of that for, I think, a couple years, would you
Yeah.
say?
Well, I know that December 2020 Pluto-Saturn conjunction was right in the middle of what we saw many years ago as Earth changes.
Mm-hmm.
We reported, a couple of months ago about 42 earthquakes volcano eruptions on the globe concurrently. I mean, that's profound. It's so interesting what's going on. But when he talks about heightened spirituality, so what do people do when they face fear or tragedy? They pray, right? Whoever your God is, you pray,
Mm-hmm.
So that heightens spirituality. I think it's very interesting that we're talking about this in 2021. I hadn't looked into Edgar Cayce information in
A while.
years, but and for some reason he came up last time, so I wanted to delve into him a little more, because I think that it's helpful.
relevant. Yeah.
Yeah, it's helpful to know that no, you're not going crazy and everything's going to be okay. And
Yes, just continue to do meditation and, um, really try to protect yourself. This is all about, working on yourself, not listening to,
being
you
authentic,
know.
being authentic is what makes a soul in the human experience fulfill their life mission. And in
Mhm.
astrology and in our charts, um, the North Node and the North South nodal axis represents South Node past lives and things that we've already learned, and the North Node being what we're here fated to be our mission or work of life. Um, when you look into some of the concepts that are being thrown around about the changes globally, um, care for humanity is top of the list.
Mhm.
Like it's gone to that Mars masculine warring 1,000 years of that masculine axis of the Earth's polarity shifting to the feminine polarity. And I've given it sort of that 20-year indication from the year 2000 to 2020. It's incremental, right? It's
Mhm.
not like we
Mhm.
can see it and feel it, but it's enough to somewhere on our subconscious or vibrational existence, we feel it now. It's shifting enough now to where, and just like the ego, right? When we're battling something in our personal life and the ego is going, I want, I need, I want, I need, I want, I need.
Mhm.
Um, and we have to kind of like get down to what's really going on in our heart. That ego will like hang on for your dear life to keep you from ascending to less ego. Okay.
Mhm.
So just like a masculine Earth's polarity, been 1,000 years of warring, masculine, diabolical kinds of things happening to a more feminine, there's a whole lot of healing that's going to be needed. There's a whole lot of humanity that will need to be nurtured because I think a lot of people, it's just sort of a cozy place to be in what I call delusional denial.
Mhm.
And all of us have situations in family or friends where just it's easier to stay in denial. It's a fuzzier, warmer place to be. And when we have to really see clearly and be accountable for our own actions and and just be honest with ourselves, that's hard for, it's easier to be passive, kind of go through your routine. When something like, you're describing today, feeling tired, and this Aries full moon just makes you feel exhausted. Um, well, now I think energies are beckoning us to look straight ahead at that and get to the bottom line of, what's really getting me there, right?
Mhm.
We talked about the Mars is, the god of war, and so uh, betrayals, double crossing, sneakiness, all of that kind of energy. It is much easier to just be in denial and try to ignore it. But if you really try to get down to why am I so upset about being betrayed? Or why am I so upset by that person feeling that way, like at work? Because a lot of the energy in the natural chart for this full moon is related more to professionals and workplace. It's
I
certainly
picked up on that. Like in my
yeah,
channel links, it
yeah,
was more like work related rather
right,
than relationships.
right, more
But if it was relationships, it has something to do with the family dynamic, not so much like intimate encounter or something romantic,
Because our
right?
family dynamic is where we are basically groomed or come up to perceive what society expects of us in family and relationships. So that's where we get down to the Pluto value systems, because I think every family can relate to the fact that as children growing up, things are seen one way, and then as adults, it may be different. And
Mm-hmm.
um, that would be different for everyone. I'm trying to be like a blanket, sort of just understanding that, it's only natural for people to change. It's the only thing permanent is that we change. So, and life changes. So the more we can learn to appreciate uh, changing perspectives or changing situations and not fear it or deny it, I
Mm-hmm.
believe we get to that more spiritual frequency that he's speaking of, that humanity takes over, where the ego is hanging on for dear life to keep us depressed and down and frustrated and not reaching our goals and not having what we want spiritually. And we've all in the metaphysical community for a long time looked at this period in society as spiritual awakening. That has
Mm-hmm.
to do with Neptune aspects over the last couple of years, Saturn, Pluto. So this is all about spiritual awakening. And if you've been somewhat spiritual in your life, it's not that big of a leap, and you're just trying to really even delve deeper into what you believe, because there is information out there that will totally toss up anything that you thought you believed. You've got the flat earth people, and there's more than 13 planets or whatever, multiple galaxies, parallel universes. Who knows? I mean, there's all kinds of things out there. So when you think that you're like, you're tuned into, this is what I believe, we're bodies of light, I've always, not always, but one of my feelings has been is the sun is our light and what we go back and forth from, um, coming into the human body. Who knows? Who knows? And or is it just the consciousness vibration, right? So these are times when I think everyone feels confused, that maybe some of the mainstay belief systems that you were growing up with or been influenced by with groups of people, that
Mm-hmm.
maybe those are kind of getting sort of turned around, looked at different angles. And my whole thing has been, don't be so dialed in to think anything. I mean, I can sit
Mm-hmm.
here and pontificate all night about theories. Um, and I waver different times about what I might feel real confident I believe in, and other times when I'm like, gee. And one of those things is about the simulation of the moon and where it's positioned in the sky. And ever since I read this information about it being a simulation, I look at the moon now and I'm like, is it really where it should be? Now, that's pretty disturbing to think you've thought away your whole entire life, and then someone,
So, what do you think the moon is fake, or what is your take on it?
I think what came up in whatever I stumbled onto was that us landing on the moon was fake, that it was a simulation.
Okay, got it.
And so, again, these beliefs that we hold on to, it's our ego holding on to for dear life. Because what happens if we take that belief away? We feel out of control and confused, and we don't have control.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in one consistency thing that I've seen in twin flame community, we all have had trauma in the childhood. There's
Mm-hmm.
something about this journey, and people who have been through really horrible things as a child relates to this journey. Now, maybe when you go through hell as a child, you become more spiritual some way, even if it's secretively, even if you're not outwardly that way, but inside you've developed some kind of meaning or feeling that makes you think there's something somewhere beautiful and better and takes you out of the pain.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that comes control issues, which we talked about last time.
Mm-hmm.
You have to feel like you have control of something to keep some semblance of sanity. Well, now things just get, thrown out there. Who knows if they're true or not? And
There's so much in the spiritual community that is
up for debate.
right. Like who's right and who's wrong? Who knows, right?
I go
Yeah.
back to the ego holding on to what it needs. The ego is the humanness, right? We
Right.
don't have ego in spirit. So when we're leaving the body, the ego has had to die and
Right.
we leave the body.
Mm-hmm.
So through our life, as we are going through periods of growth and change, it's the ego that's like wants us to stay the same. The ego feels in control. And I hope I'm making sense. In my head, it makes
No,
complete sense.
it
I
does
don't
make
want to be
sense
in my
because I'm
head.
thinking of it in a like a Buddhist
Yeah,
aspect also
yeah,
because with ego is an attachment to like your
material.
physical self.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have to let go
Think
because the only
outside.
thing that's controlling you is your mind.
Yeah,
And this is all about mindfulness. So, if you can program or change your mind, you can change anything, especially with, your expectations on outcomes,
right,
about your outlook on life. You have to stay positive and very clear,
right.
and it's very
And tell that
simple.
little gremlin in your mind to go sit down and shut up. Just tell me what I'm
Exactly,
wondering.
and a lot of people, they don't want that. They wanna find, like, something like, "No, it's not that.
Debate.
It's because of this," And I'm like, "Okay, well, you don't wanna check in? You don't wanna check yourself out and really work on yourself?" And I could be very hard on people because I'm actually seeing, like, what the issue is, and obviously, if you're a little too hard on them and speaking your truth, they don't wanna hear it. It's some people, they rather have, the, cookie cutter,
Fuzzy.
like,
Yeah, they want to
version.
fuzzy. They don't want to be challenged to think maybe what
No,
they thought all
and
along is
that's what a lot of twins are like,
yeah,
with, dealing with their divine counterparts
yeah.
because, "Oh, the twin ran away from me because they couldn't handle this divine feminine," like, "What?"
You know, there's
It's
masculine
because,
in us,
they're not ascended. You guys are not on the same wavelength. So if they want to go, let them go.
and it's
They're
the
not,
mirror too. What are they
yeah.
triggering for you to look at in yourself?
And
And
it's the ego.
yeah, it is. And so, when we talk about spiritual awakening, we're talking about people being willing to admit this to ourselves, that our ego needs to have a certain cozy place to believe, and please don't, bring your, doubt or fear in my space. And I
Mhm.
think we're in times, and especially with the mixture of energies and the planets and the aspects of you're going to get stirred up.
Yeah. Well, I was stirred up this morning.
About what?
Um, it wasn't bad actually, because you actually messaged me talking about the t-shirt, the sweatshirt, right?
Yeah,
Which I can't wait
I'm
to
working on it.
see. Yeah, and but also my friend who is also a Leo, she actually made a scarf and a hat, a beanie for
Oh,
me. And I
oh,
thought that was so nice. So it wasn't a bad thing, but I was just feeling groggy, like I wasn't getting enough sleep. I had some messed up dreams this morning, and yeah, I was like, why am I dreaming this stuff? And I don't even want to talk about it because it's that
well,
messed up.
well, you're doing psychic work, so you're also picking up other people's stuff too.
Geez, what the heck are you guys going through? Like, well,
Well, we
one
are
part.
getting near Halloween, and there are haunted fun houses for
Oh,
Halloween
I would love to go to a
right
haunted
here in
house.
our heads.
Bring it on. I like, when I was going to England back in my youth, I visited a cemetery, and I was young, and I was like, oh, look at this grave, and I put my hand on the
Um,
skull of the one of the carpet, however you call it. Like, it's an outdoor cemetery thing, right? It's not in like in underground. It's like above ground. But anyways, I put my hand on it. I was like, "Oh, look at this little skull," and
oh,
I would just walk around the streets in England or London specific, and there's like a sunkenness, like a heaviness, right? And I visited one of these historical places, and I kid you not, I saw a ghost.
I
I
believe.
saw a ghost. No, it was on Halloween, but I saw one. I was like, "Oh, look at that." I told my friend, I was like, "Did you see that?" "Why? What are you looking at?" I was like, "No, look right there in that window." And she was like, "Ah, no, I don't know what you're talking about." I was like, "Okay."
Yeah,
And I can't share like some of these visions that I have with people because they're like, "What is she talking about?" Right? And I might come up as a little cuckoo, but
come
yeah.
guess.
But there's a lot of that energy in, I guess, in Europe per se, not specific to where I
Antiquities,
was.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
ancient times. I
there's a
was
lot of, like, energy, over there. It's
I
so
was in
strange.
London around Hyde Park, and
Mhm.
that's
Oh,
around
geez.
where Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a tour. You can actually do a walking tour of his, and they tell you his little.
Now, I don't know if I wanna go that far, and, I would have to go with a group at that point.
Yeah, yeah.
'Cause I think I watched something on Netflix where it was, like, a bunch of psychics, that were, like, trying out
Kind
for
of.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be a part of this school, like, psychic school or something,
So did they
and
determine that he was actually a surgeon? Because there was all speculation about who was that.
no, he was just some nasty freak doing his rounds.
Well, it's very appropriate that we're talking this way with Halloween just around the corner and the veil between the dimension here and the dimension where souls go when they leave.
Crossover.
I mean, I've gotten so
Hi,
strange
fancy
about
meeting you here. What are you doing in
don't
my
say
neck
that
of the
like
woods?
I used to because it's like all kinds of possibilities.
That's why, guys, I have bath salt. I got the bitch be gone spray. I
No
got
fuck
everything to
boys,
protect you.
no
Yes.
fuck boy repellent. So,
Yeah, she has one too. I do too. We're protected, guys.
um, it's amazing. And when it comes to beliefs, there's something that I've always practiced in my astrology practice
Mhm.
because I'm a real nurturing person and I want nothing more than to make you feel better about whatever you're feeling bad about. I will find a positive way to look at something anyone's going through.
Mhm.
And we all are guilty of getting into these dialed in opinions and beliefs. And any kind of variance from that really feels disruptive or scary to people or whatever. And
Well, I
one of-
ain't gonna lie, the whole thing with what was going on in the world and differences of opinion, you
yeah,
know, dealing
well,
with
I was
yeah.
trying to get onto relationships since we're on a twin flame channel.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, like these energies are really disruptive to personal relationships because people are being, if you looked at your soul inside as strings of a harp or a string instrument, and your strings are getting plucked
Mhm.
and you're learning, so you might hit an off note that's kind of how I'm going to describe the roller coaster mood swings or confusion, or I always go back to that. What's it all about, Alfie?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we develop the tools of stillness and prayer, meditation,
Mm-hmm.
exercise. You could play ping pong as a meditation. So it doesn't have to be sit still oming, just whatever it takes to focus your mind and calm down and just recognize that a lot of it is your ego keeping you jacked up, because that's what the ego does.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the belief systems that is kind of a pet peeve of mine that I want to take a moment here this evening to just present this to your viewers to consider, because it doesn't do any of us any good to be told like things for certain. You know what I mean? Like my teacher in astrology, the first thing she said the first class is nothing is absolute. Nothing
Right.
is absolute.
Even in the Buddhist philosophy, nothing is permanent.
Right. And so in our metaphysical community,
Mm-hmm.
okay, or I don't know what other kind of community, psychic community or readers or whatever,
Spiritual.
that people get very dialed in to this is how it is and they know it, and you know, don't challenge it. I'm old. I've been in astrology in the community for 50 years. It was before computers. And one thing that I want to say is be careful of allowing anyone to block you into a corner to look at them to do something for you in terms of healing. We all can heal ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
what we need are teachers and readers who teach us how to look inside and not
Right.
look outside for your healing. So that brings me to Mercury retrograde, because we've been going through it, and a lot of shifting of those planets going direct. And I hear this all the time, and I've stayed quiet as long as I can. So this is my little soapbox.
Okay.
You know, if you meet somebody during Mercury retrograde and Mercury go retrograde again, or whatever, I don't like telling people that you will never have a relationship with somebody if you meet during Mercury retrograde.
Mm-hmm.
That is, I just don't even know how that comes to be. Everybody's chart is like a fingerprint, and there are no blanket rules. It is extremely individual.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I will listen to people talk, about, oh, retrograde don't do blah 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 blah, and I'm just like, why would you tell people that?
Mm-hmm.
We are all so individual, and every day is a new day, and whatever aspects are making to your natal chart, progress chart, solar return chart, whichever one you want to look at, it does us no good at all to feel boxed in like, well, I do it to myself. Here's a great example. I need an HVAC system. And in my head, I'm like, okay, I need to get some estimates, and let me make sure I don't buy that thing during Mercury retrograde. And then I catch myself, and it's like,
When is it over? So I can
I
get
know.
this.
I
I'm
mean,
hot.
I box myself into a corner, or like buying a car or a TV or something. You always hear people say, "Oh, don't do it during." Do you know how many times we've probably bought something on Mercury retrograde or started a relationship on Mercury retrograde and have no clue that we have, and never have any indication? It doesn't mean the potential is not there.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess where I've had a couple of clients, about this, um, paying someone outside of them to heal them. I know this is a fine line, and I hope I'm expressing myself how I'm really feeling this. I'm not saying there's not room for Reiki healing and chiropractic and, other holistic modalities for making your body feel better, to release emotions and all of our very intricate systems that work together between mind, body, and spirit. But
Mm-hmm.
to just put out as a general overall, just shut down your life for the 3 weeks, 4 times a year that Mercury's retrograde, because only shit happens and you don't want to. Da, 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 da. I just would like to just suggest to just chill. So, don't get so upset about a planet going behind the sun. Because what Mercury retrograde is we're here on Earth, we're looking up at the sun, and the planet goes behind the sun. That's it. That means that the energy that the sun gives off is diluting the vibrations between that planet and the Earth. Now, people who were born with Mercury retrograde may excel during Mercury retrograde.
And I wanted to ask you about that because I think I was born during a retrograde.
So what we do, and I'll do that when we're off our little chat here. But so what you do if you have a natal chart born with any planet retrograde is you look in the ephemeris, which let me get to my extensive filing system here on the.
Okay.
Oh Lord. So here's the most recent one, the ephemeris. This
Okay.
covers from the year 2000 to 2050, and then the older one is, I think, 100 years. I can't remember. But anyway, these are how we do this. So these are
Oh, it looks like a telephone book, if
this
anybody
is
knows what that looks like.
the planets for all the placements where they are of the
Oh,
planet.
wow.
And so what we look at is your birth date, and we see, okay, Mercury's retrograde, and we
Mm-hmm.
count how many days until it goes direct, and that equates to years. So that year in your life will have a chapter in your life. Doesn't have to be bad. It's just something changes. Another point in the chart that is long forgotten is the prenatal eclipse, and to look at what eclipse was closest when you were in your mother's womb and put those in the chart. And when planets transit or progress that point, significant things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Also in the chart are the decision points when you were born, when you were in your mother's womb and there was a Mercury retrograde. It's all different because it's not always Mercury retrograde when your mom's pregnant, but there are decision points that are represented by in your early childhood when Mercury was retrograde and direct, and those are placed in the chart. And when things transit or progress those, it usually means you're making a big decision about something. So I guess my whole little soapbox is to remember that we're all very individual, that there are no rules in astrology that are absolute. And you can look at and when it comes to relationships, you can look at, this has happened more than not. You can look at two people's charts together in a relationship and think there is no way those people would ever get along, and they have a magnificent relationship. You can have two charts. It's like, oh yeah, this is great, easy. Yeah, it's going to work out, and they're nowhere near together. So
Mm-hmm.
there are no absolutes, and I just want to remind us all of that, myself included, because
Mm-hmm.
our ego gets in the way, right? Our ego wants to keep us stuck and unhappy and not growing, and certainly not becoming more spiritual, because the more spiritual we are, the less the ego can win its battles, right?
Right.
And
So, guys, and bottom line is don't attach to a certain narrative or a certain idea
right, thank
as
you.
something that's absolute.
That's a great way to put it. Don't
Yeah.
get attached to a narrative. That's a
Yeah.
great, perfect way. In fact, if there were a sentence to describe the energy we are in right now, it would be don't get attached to a narrative.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's
Yeah,
easy. You
yeah.
know, just
So, do you have these? Um,
no, I don't have those. You have those.
they're really old. I guess they're still out. But all
Uh-huh.
it is the major arcanum. And
Okay, yeah.
they're huge cards. I mean, look how
Oh
big.
yeah, they look beautiful. Mm-hmm.
So I thought that we would pull a couple of these for our Twin Flame Collective. And our
Okay.
question is, for the last quarter of the year, between now and the end of the year, where are intimate relationships going? Because we're heading into Scorpio. That's a time for rules the reproductive organs. So there could be some activity in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Mm-hmm.
I keep meaning to bring these out when we get together, and I finally remembered.
Do you want me to pull some, or do you just want to go ahead?
I was just going to do a couple of these.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
They're
Yeah.
special,
Let's go
right?
ahead and see what comes out.
And we have an Aries full moon ruled by Mars, and Mars is masculine and wanting to get.
Yeah. Oh, so I just remembered. So yeah. So there's a little action, or a little bit of wanting a little something something around this time. But not only that, you briefly grazed over it, but there could be a chance encounter, kind of like a serendipitous meeting between twins, right?
North Node stationing to go direct October 23rd at 1 degree Gemini. And that's
Mm-hmm.
another little astrology lesson here. So each sign has 30 degrees. 1 and 29 are called anaretic degrees. They're considered very significant. A 1 degree Gemini North Node would mean that this is a new cycle
Mm-hmm.
in matters of Gemini, which are the twins.
Sounds
9
good.
degrees would be completion of a cycle. So
Well,
we
I've
have,
been seeing a lot of nines in my channeled messages. Mm-hmm.
I have to.
It's at the very end, but still not right at the 0 point going into one.
We're on the 20th. This would be Saturday-ish that the
This
North.
weekend, guys. Did you
Yeah,
hear that this weekend?
yeah.
Make sure you put on the good smelling stuff and take a shower.
So I'm not going to go where I was going to go, but
Okay, go ahead.
that out of my head there. That wasn't. That would be an unnecessary comment.
Okay.
Okay, so let's see. Do you want to ask the question?
Uh okay, can I ask any question? Yeah? Okay. Spirit, can you please reveal to the collective, is there a potential that this collective that's watching could have any kind of contact with their twin flame? How's that?
Perfect. Oh, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
That's what I was talking about. I never see that, but you pulled it out.
Well, let's
It's
really
so
look at
cool.
this. And in this particular deck, they have some kind of unique additions to what we already think of with these cards. And the Fool is ruled by the planet Uranus, which would be sudden encounters, right? Something
Mhm.
unexpected and sudden.
So it's in alignment with what we just talked about.
This is the Fool, card of beginnings, stands at the gateway to the Tarot. With shining optimism, he sets out on the spiritual journey represented by the cards of the major arcana. Traditionally depicted on the very edge of a cliff, his foolishness encapsulates the idea of childlike faith, Aries, childlike.
Ah, very interesting.
Humor and innocence. The
Mm-hmm.
Fool carries all his worldly goods in one hand, indicating that he is symbolically unburdened by the material world, which is another
That is what we want for our masculines. Like, come on, get
his
rid of your materialistic ways and get down with the
dog
divine
off the
feminine.
cliff. So his little dog represents the power of instinct and
Mm-hmm.
intuition, which comforts and protects him on his quest. Revolutionary Uranus rules this card, underlying its message of change, freedom, and adventure. I love this card.
I love it
This,
too.
this
Wow.
represents to me faith, that in your darkest times, or if you're feeling really defeated or discouraged, that have faith, because there's so much more than what we see. So much more.
Especially if the journey ahead is unforeseeable and difficult, right? Not knowing like, what expectations, right? Like, didn't I just talk about like releasing attachment to the narrative,
Yeah. Yeah. I love
having
that.
a childlike nature? Woo, look at me, let's have fun.
So let's have another question.
um hmm. Let's ask the collective. Collective, can you type in a question for Sunny? Let's go ahead and see. Let's get audience participation in here.
I like that.
Shabaka forgot to open a bottle of wine for this. Honey, we're in the middle of the week, but it is hump day, Mothers-in-law.
I had a horrible one.
Shabaka asks, what will December be like?
December.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
We're jumping ahead a little bit.
November, right? Ah, the lovers.
Lovers, she already knew. It's that Gemini energy.
This number 17.
Oh.
So this card gets a lot of rap, right? Right? The
Yeah,
lover,
it could
third
mean like
party.
a get together, or it could mean a third party.
So in the Lovers Tarot,
Mm-hmm.
the card of the Lovers embodies the ancient esoteric idea of opposites which balance each other out and cannot exist alone. By blending and balancing such opposites, union is achieved. This is often represented by a third figure on the card, which can be an angel, Cupid, or a wise old woman. This magical union was referred to by the alchemist as the sacred marriage, the harmonious connection of male and female. The message of duality is enhanced by the card's airy ruling sign of Gemini, symbolized by the twins. The lovers represent choices, romance, and union.
Well, hopefully the twin will choose the divine counterpart this
All right, we're on a
Christmas.
roll. Let's have another one.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Will obstacles fall away on their own? Or are the obstacles necessary?
Okay, let's get clear here. What are we asking?
Okay. Will obstacles fall away on their own?
Hmm,
Will the
interesting
obstacles fall
question.
away on their own?
Oh, I would say yes to justice.
Oh, yes. That's actually a beautiful message.
Let's see. Justice. I opened right to it. That doesn't happen very often. Justice symbolizes mental balance. Her eyes open, view life with clarity. Her mind is calm and detached. Her sword held in the right hand represents the power of truth, wisdom, and order. She is logic, the intellectual realms, and unbiased decisions. Ruled by Libra, the sign of balance and partnership, justice emphasizes the importance of perspective and objectivity and reminds us that for every action, there is a reaction.
Very nice. I
I
like it.
like that.
I like your nails too,
Oh,
Sunny.
oh, thank you.
Did you have them manicured or
I
what?
did. I had my hair cut and my nails manicured.
Is it buffed or is that just polish on top?
That, I think, is called passion. It's a light, light,
Oh,
light color. Yeah.
oh. Yeah, what name brand is it? Is it
OPI.
Sation or OPI? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I like that. It looks
Thank you.
natural.
You
Yeah.
can overlook the my hands are
No, I used to be a nail tech, so I mean, I noticed it and I was like, I like your nails.
thank you. I've been going to someone new and she can do nails too. So
Well, that's good. That's what we hope for.
yeah, yeah. So, interesting times and good times. And here's
Hmm.
the high priestess. Whoops. Let's see. I have a hard time with distance and figuring out.
Yeah, you can pull it backwards if you want the whole view. Yeah,
Ah,
there you
thank
go.
you.
Uh-huh.
Try to get the light off of it.
You have to tilt it down.
My media expert here. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Back.
I'm really good at optical illusions. So that's
High
good.
priestess. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
you're
see
doing good.
one thing there. And if you want another one, we'll do. But let's see. That was on the bottom of the deck. So back and tilt forward.
Yes.
Mistress of the moon, the high priestess sits before the gateway to the unconscious. She holds a book of esoteric wisdom, but she does not relinquish its contents easily, for she is the essence of mystery. She represents the veiled virginal face of the great goddess, which can only be glimpsed by the initiate after many trials. Ruled by the moon, a full moon tonight, she is the
Mhm.
eternal feminine, the guardian of secrets, the wise witch within us all who can open the doors of perception. So I love when tarot, I mean, it's all, tarot is magical, right? It
Yeah,
always seems to confirm the conversation. So
it
these
does. That's why I like mixing tarot with astrology.
are, mhm.
It's like a mixture, a mishmash of both, because it kind of like validates almost,
Yes,
right?
there's a
You
nice
know?
confirmation there that you're not feeling something that others aren't feeling. I mean, even if it's
Right.
difficult, if you know that others are also, struggling with some of these same, self-esteem issues,
Mhm.
control issues, intimacy, right?
Mhm. Which
So
won't be an issue around this time, but unless you're not coupled up, then you got to take care of business.
I'm telling you, it's a challenge every day. Or it's an adventure.
Oh.
You can look at it either way. And
Well,
I
I
think
I
too,
kind of like the positive aspects of this moon,
yes, yes,
with
it's
the
very
energy.
energetic. Yeah.
Mhm. I mean,
And
obviously it has undertones to it, but it's a matter of perception, right?
it is. And being willing to look at things from all angles, as judgment would tell us to do.
Okay. So sit back in your hole, keep your
Yeah.
judgments to yourself.
I'm telling you, all I kept feeling was just leave people alone. Don't try to tell anybody anything. People get so dialed into their beliefs, and it just, it only creates angst when you're trying to, um,
Like you do you, boo boo. Like I'm not your judge.
yeah, yeah. Okay, here is as the pendulant card of the major arcana, judgment is linked with resurrection, recover, karma, and rebirth. The souls of the dead awaken and arise from their graves in this card. They have heard the call of the great archangel Michael sounding his horn to summon them to the life hereafter. Symbolic of the biblical day of judgment, the card is ruled by Pluto, god of the dead, a square to this full moon tonight, planet of ultimate transformative and regenerative powers. Hallelujah. Yeah.
That sounds good. I mean, I kind of like it. I like the whole idea of
And
judgment.
without even looking down, so
The hermit.
for a lot of us, maybe we just want to lay low for the next 3 days or so. There's some kind of wacky vibes.
Lay low, keep your opinions to yourself,
Mind your
and
own
then by the
business.
weekend, make sure you're glowing and growing, and never know what you're gonna meet out there.
I have some very frustrating work sometimes, and people can be challenging, and I just have felt with all this mix when I read off everything that's been going on for October that, if somebody wants to try to start a debate or make you see their,
Excuse me, what did you say? Uh, I got something cooking in the oven. I'll get back to you later. No.
yeah, I just been, okay.
Yeah.
See ya.
Excuse me, I can't hear you.
So yes, yes.
Uh,
Well, I hope this has helped everyone have a good weekend for the full moon and all the energies. And are there any other questions that anybody wants to ask? Or
I don't know. Let's see. So, collective, do you have any other questions for Sunny before we enjoy our full
we have
moon?
these marathon, chats. It seems really Aries full moon trining my Leo sun. I'm just like, I'm full of energy. I could probably go out.
I could use some of your energy,
I have had
really.
a lot of energy with this full
I
moon.
only have one Leo placement in my chart. It's not enough. It's not enough fire for me. Uh,
This would be time for you to catch up on rest, not
yes,
stress. Right.
that's why I'm not doing a lot of readings today. I just decided to do one major one for the collective and then come on with you. But
Yeah.
tonight I might do a couple of readings, but I plan on vacuuming my place.
Two
What is it? Like, yeah, take a salt bath. If I don't feel like I want to scrub the tub, then I'll throw some salt over me um and just watch some dramas, guys, and pig out on my favorite snacks. Should I pull out my favorite snack?
Yes.
Hold on.
We have had food as part of our talk tonight. I think
Yeah, but it's not the leafy green kind. Hold on.
is it some kind of nut?
No, it's fatty. All right, guys. So, for all my Trader Joe's people who live here in the United States, it's the spicy, porkless, plant-based snack rinds.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, so if you like pork rinds, but not the actual pork, this is a good replacement. It's tasty. So I might have some of this with some apple slices. I don't know. I'll eat popcorn too.
And
But
get some of those leafy vegetables in there for that potassium.
yeah, so I might go to the store later on tonight. But let's see, what time is it? Yeah, I have time. Yeah. So I'll get some kale and spinach and some beet
Oh,
tops. The guy was talking
and we're
about beet
back to the
tops.
pool again on the bottom of the deck.
Yay! Yes. Let's have a new beginning. So let's see. I remember that there was someone here that said something. Varacana says, "Will any twin flames see physical reunion by New Year's?"
All right.
Let's do that before we cut loose. I
Oh,
love Trader Joe's, guys.
pretty sure they will.
Oh, it's the Wheel of Fortune. That's good. That's
What
brand
goes
new
around
beginnings.
comes around.
Let's hope it goes around for the collective, not the karmic.
Okay, let's see. Let's see. Let's get this right.
You
Okay.
got it. Yeah.
The Wheel of Fortune symbolizes the circling nature of fate, fortune, and time. As it revolves, the wheel passes through the four quarters, each associated with a symbolic creature. These creatures represent the elements in the four fixed signs of the zodiac: the lion for fire, the bull for earth, the eagle, water, and the angel for air. Ruled by expansive Jupiter, the luck bringer. This card is linked with the planet's cycle of preparation, growth, and harvest. So I would say yes to that question.
And we just had Jupiter go direct, right?
Right. Yes. Yes. And Jupiter, brings expansion on a spiritual level. You may
Hmm.
decide to go take some more schooling. It's about higher education and matters dealing with foreign elements, people, places, cultures. Um, and then, of course, it's always about what goes around comes around. So
Hmm.
be the lover that you want to have in your life, and
Yes.
that will manifest.
That sounds good to me.
I think
So,
that's a perfect way to encapsulate our talking about the full moon with a Cardinal T-Square to Sun, Mars square, and Pluto.
I think so too. Yes.
With as we
Um,
get into the weekend, all this transition into Scorpio time. Yeah.
Now, for the collective, when do you think that we should talk about next? Like, I know that there's a lot of things going on
Yeah.
in the planets.
So we
Um, there's
yes,
like eclipses and there's like all kinds of stuff. So, what would be a good next
that
session
would
for
be
us?
on November the 4th, the new moon in Scorpio.
Oh, the 4th. Oh my goodness.
I've been trying to keep my website up to date with the current moon cycle. So I'll get something up there for the November 4th new moon in Scorpio.
Okay.
Um, and then you can look at your schedule and we'll have more fun. I don't know about you and your viewers, but I certainly have fun being able to spew astrology for a couple of hours.
Oh, I enjoy it. I like talking, like listening and talking, so I like it.
Well, I hope I bring something of interest and helpful. And
Yes,
I would
yes.
encourage everyone to look a little deeper into Edgar Cayce and his work, and they might find something there that helps them in their own personal path.
Yes, definitely. And thank you, Sunny, for being here with us today. And yes, and if anyone would like to take a deep dive into their astro chart, then Sunny can definitely help you, especially if you want her to look at you and your twins, natal charts together to see where you guys are at, in, the energies and the planets up to this point. So, you could visit her on her website. It is www.lionmountainhealing.com,
Thanks to
right?
you. You did a beautiful job on my website. I love it. And
Thank you.
I am learning more and more about how to. Did you do something that helped with consistency on the set images? Because they're
I
looking
think
better. I think you did something that helped, and I thank you. I forgot. I keep forgetting to thank you.
that must have been an automatic update because unless it I would
Because
have to see exactly where because basically it's kind of like how it's coded. So it's
it
possible.
always looked better when you did it, and then when I would
Uh-huh.
do it, it would get all wacky. And then
Uh-huh.
lately, it's been like consistent. I'm like, I know I'm not doing that. I bet you went in there and helped me fix that.
It could have been like a website update, and so it kind of updated on some aspects of the code, and so now everything is in alignment. So
Well,
it
my
could have
hope,
been
yeah,
Mercury retrograde, let's say it like that.
okay. And my hope for coming up in the end of the year is to get some things uploaded. I have a lot of really cool vintage things for a
Okay.
metaphysical shop. I've been collecting metaphysical things a really, really long time, and I would like to share them and pass things along to younger folks that will give things a nice new home.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. I love vintage. So
Yes,
yes, it would be an honor to help you with
yes,
that. So
yes. I'm
oh,
getting
thank
there.
you.
I'm making
No,
progress.
you're doing well. You're doing well. You made it. I mean, I've known you for a while, and you're doing a lot better than what you thought that you couldn't. Very much like what you were thinking with the whole yard work situation.
Yes,
Very
yes.
similar to that. I was like, "Dang, girl, you out there like
I
hauling
don't know.
wood?" Like,
It's a fire trine. Okay, trines are 120-degree distance between planets, and it's a very positive. Um, they call it Lady Luck. So
I need some of that fire energy in my
you will,
life.
you will, you'll get one of those Earth trines and be cranking it out. Now
I
is the
need that.
time to rest.
Okay,
You
I'll
will
rest. I'll go to a grocery store and I'll rest.
get some lettuce,
I will.
some olive oil.
Not the iceberg kind, the
Yeah,
leafy green looking ones.
yeah.
All right, guys. So thank you all for being here with us today. And again, if you want to get your astrology report done, your natal chart done, go ahead and contact Sunny on her website. Again, her website is lionmountainhealing.com. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.
Thank you,
Bye
everyone.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.